It's always Halloween, man. Like, I really do think Halloween let people be their true selves. Because, like, you gotta think about, like, people gotta go put on a costume when they go to work. You gotta wear the suit that's not you. It don't express who you are, but you gotta be in line with the rules, right? Of the culture of the fucking, job or place. People walk outside all day. Everybody wearing the same thing. It's just the costumes of society. Look at this man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got a mask on. I don't know why he has a mask on. Like, it's nothing that he's... Seeing people with masks on probably still my most frustrating thing. I've seen people have an open air dialogue, interviews on rooftops, like 12 feet away from each other, one man wearing a mask. What the fuck are you trying to stop?
Yeah.
Like, do you really believe that the air is that polluted and you think your mask is gonna stop it?
Yeah, like you don't breathe oxygen still.
Bro, nothing, that mask ain't stopping no disease.
Crazy.
All
if
of us
airborne and you breathe air, you're going to get the disease.
Bro, you is crazy. It's crazy to think. It's sad. I still don't understand. Listen, man, I don't. It's a frustrating thing because it's like, I ain't gonna lie. 2020 just really showed how stupid society was at the highest level, and how when fears entered, we lose all sanity, all logic, all clarity. We were just doing the dumbest things on the planet. People were literally just taking experimental shots, putting on masks, taking them down when it's time to eat, putting them back on, because people was telling us to, and it was frustrating as hell. Not that it was nothing about it made sense to you.
I just didn't want to go anywhere.
So everything that you learned your whole entire life, you had to throw out the window and just listen, because these are the rules.
Common sense. Now, it was definitely a beta test for, like, just how subservient people can be. And you got real-time data.
I know how masks work. You don't know how diseases work. You don't know how particles work. You think them masks are goddamn stopping them particles from getting into your oxygen and you inhaling that?
Somebody said
crazy
that.
As hell. Yeah.
I seriously said that. Again, airborne, I don't know.
Pathogens in the air. And
air, bro.
It's air. So how does all of a sudden the disease
Unless you don't breathe, you can inhale it.
And it's customized to your preference when you want to wear it and when you don't want to wear it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, C-19 be like, all right, since you don't want me to attack you right now, I'm not. I'm going to wait till you put it on, and then I'm going to come at your mask to make sure you protect it.
Right.
Come on, man. Y'all got to stop.
Like, and a lot of people I met have felt like this. I don't know anyone unvaccinated who regrets it. You know what I mean? Nobody was like, oh man, I wish I got the vaccine. And but I've heard a lot of the contrary.
Ain't nobody gonna ever say they wish they got no goddamn vaccine, man. That vaccine was the stupidest shit on the planet Earth, man. Why these people out here dying today? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. We just not allowed. The truth is just illegal. That's all it is. The truth is just illegal. Listen, man, this is a Facts Over Feelings broadcast. Please tune out if you're in your feelings right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know that's what's been going on this whole entire time. We know that people just discluded science, logic, math, everything that they've been educated their whole life so that they can make good decisions. They just threw out the window and became complete sheep to the world. And then go start complaining about mark of the beast. Man, you know what you talking about. You let the beast put marks on you to try to save you. That's the oldest template in the world. I'm going to save you. Give me your rights. I ain't giving you goddamn rights. Who going to save me from giving you my rights?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, man, come on, man. It was one of those sad days to be like in society and have intelligence.
Oh my goodness. You ain't lying.
Because nobody in my family took it.
Yeah.
Not a single person. I got a big ass family.
My family did.
You know what I'm saying?
I have family members that did, and I was like the whole time.
No,
it was all out of that job security fear, though. It was none of it was about like health, because you know, my from. It's not like, oh, disease will kill me. But I wish they had more faith-based enough to believe that they can find financial security without having to do that. Some of them, you know what I mean?
Bro, it's people don't think far enough into the future to really care about their present. Because the things you do in the present, it's not so much about how it's about to affect you next week. We have what I call the COVID myopia, right? It's like, inability to see farther in the future beyond this current problem. It's a stigma of the mind. The way you have a stigma of the eyes, you can have a myopia of the eyes. You can't see that far. So when you have this immediate issue, you stop seeing far, right? And so every conversation was always about the immediacy, right? Instead of the long-term effects. So therefore we couldn't draw out and say, okay, wait a minute, this thing is going to draw in more AI, it's going to draw in more robotic policing, it's going to draw in unfair policing, it's going to draw in all these new policies and regulations. Let's not just have a conversation about these immediate concerns. Let's make sure that they're not planning this, because they're planning about the things that's going to happen down the next 5-10 years, while we're only talking about the next 2-3 weeks. Right? And they was forcing people to only think about 2-3 weeks. Like, no, people dying now. Listen, that's not how you plan for the future. You're not about to get me stuck in the present of fear so that I can't think about the future of freedom. And every one of those people that told y'all to do that, they fucking... I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna say something wild. Listen, they definitely did not care about y'all. It was the worst leadership on the planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? They sheep completely to these goddamn elitist circles. They fucking puppets and paid off activists and devils, to be honest with you.
They had a whole plan to like target barbershops, churches. It's the same plan that they had with the Margaret Sanger plan.
Bro,
it's like, hey, talk to these people in the black community to get this out.
That's raw, first of all.
What?
All natural Earth Homes category. I gotta try one of them. That's fire. But yeah, man, I just want us to, man. I don't want to talk to everybody anymore. I really just want my tribe, Where them 144,000 at, man? That's about you go get. And then my inner circle, it might just be 1,900 of us, might be 19,000 of us. You feel me? But it's only like 144,000 solid ones on this planet Earth out of 8 billion people out here. So ain't nobody trying to goddamn connect with everybody. Now, we're going to do stuff that's going to impact the world, right? Because that's how it works. When you do good, you benefit everybody regardless. But you have to keep in mind those who ready, right? Because there's going to be a lot of people who oppose you that will benefit from the thing that they opposing. Now, that right there is another sad fact of reality, that you're fighting the very people you're trying to help.
Yeah. People fight the solution out of, like, ignorance, because you don't know somebody's trying to help you.
It's like that happened with our own family. Try to give family good advice, they don't want to listen. Oh, you think you better than me because you make more money than me. No, that's your thought process and where your insecurity come from, because of your lack. And because I'm speaking from a place of confidence, because I'm in a place to be able to help you, you don't want to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? You just want me to give you the money. And I always say, now I'm at this point where, like, do not borrow money if you don't want to take advice as well. If you're not going to take advice, don't ask for money. Because obviously the person you borrow the money from is in a better position, right? And you shouldn't just be getting the money. You should definitely be getting advice so you can be in the same position as them.
It's crazy.
Like, I think that got to be a rule.
I feel like shouldn't even talk to people who can't even take good advice, because...
Bro, how you going to talk to anybody then? You just had to stop talking.
You're right.
You know how many people actually take advice? Oh, that's the homie. Funny as hell.
At least people who try and listen to implement.
Yeah, some people try. You know what I mean? Some people do. And some people try. But I respect those who at least put in effort. Effort is where I give respect.
We have to start with accepting critique, I guess, before we can get people to accept advice, because people won't even accept critique. So
I just need you to put in effort. You know what I'm saying? You can fail, but as long as you put in effort, you're learning, and you're increasing your willpower to do it better the next time. And as long as you never stop giving effort, eventually whatever you're going for will budge.
Yeah, 100%.
And you'll make progress. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is the formula. Like, what is your measurement of effort?
Input is output. Put effort in that. That's another thing. Like,
You said what land isn't stolen? I mean, I would say African land isn't stolen.
There's a lot of it that's not stolen.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's. I'm not on stolen land. I'm on my land. That's what they try to get you to think. Listen, man, I'm from here. So shit, I ain't stealing. I ain't no stolen land. It's mine. You know what I'm saying? It's just they created these systems called titles, registries, contracts. You know what I'm saying? That even if you walking on your land, based on their system, you don't have what they call ownership, and you're not a lord in their system. So, you know, you have to register to be a landlord by participating in commerce and signing a contract that makes you a lord over a particular land. But you still will be taxed because you are not the, you know, owner of that land. You're just the lord of that land. Which the ownership is in the deposit, right, of the king. You know what I mean? The trust,
Yeah, who gives the
government.
authority for you to think you own it?
Right.
Who has the power to make you think you own this property?
That's how it was created. It's just a system. It's the same way if a person says, you know, listen, you want to buy my clothes, right? But matter of fact, you're not really buying it. We're going to create this situation where you get to borrow. You can be the lord of my clothes, you know what I'm saying? But you have to pay me, right, while you own them and wear them. And you can even lease them out to somebody else. But you still have to pay me a tax every time you sell it to somebody else. And month to month as you wear.
If you start profiting more, that tax increases.
It's like you buying into a member. You get a membership fee. You know what I'm saying? You become a member of the ownership club, but you got to pay a fee month to month. And the fee never ends. It's in perpetuity. So anything that you buy from me, I will collect the fee on it in perpetuity. So it actually benefits me twice. First of all, at the point of sale, then of course in perpetuity as long as you have ownership.
Royalties?
You know what I'm saying? Ownership is a membership club.
Did you know that the idea of royalties came from...
But you can leverage what you have ownership.
Used to have to bring it to the royals. When they mined stuff, they had to bring a percentage to the royals. So like, royalties today work the same way.
I mean,
Essentially
yeah.
what you're explaining.
The royals is such a crazy idea. Somebody said, would you prefer a primitive state of existence and eradication of civil law? I think you saying it was a primitive state of existence is already not giving me a choice, right? Because it's kind of saying like, you know, civil is just talking of civilization, just talking about coming under military jurisdiction and law. We live in cronyism and capitalism. Systems can be built in ways that benefit people for social good in much better ways than the way that they have been built. So it's not so much of going back to anything that is primitive. It's about creating something that is more constructive, something that is more productive, right? And we don't have a perfect system.
Yeah. And what's funny is people assume that because some ancient cultures failed or were overran, that ancient politics weren't very successful and very good. There were actually a lot of quote-unquote primitive politics that could very well govern a society today.
Yeah, I mean, if a culture is living in peace, that's not primitive.
Right.
There's nothing primitive about that. It's very sophisticated.
You know?
It's cooperation. It was just like in South Africa, when they came over and they seen certain people, they was like, wait a minute, they was like, who's the leader? And they was like, well, we don't have no leader. Everybody just works in cooperation. There's no leadership structure like a pyramid. There's no master over men. So they didn't understand that. They was like, this don't make no sense. You don't have a system of capital to take advantage of this over the people that are born in the same resources of this land. You don't have that. So but they weren't primitive because they also had knowledge of science, agriculture, you know what I'm saying, geometry, right? They knew how to operate on the planet Earth. What we are learning is how do you operate on man's world, inside man's system, which is completely different. The average person don't know how to operate with the earth. They know how to operate in the system.
Right. Yeah. And even stuff like
it ain't about it being it should sound, listen, the education system is the problem within itself. Education system is just educating you on the system so that your thoughts and ideas reverberate what's in the system so you can continue the system to flow. I think the problem is that shit, being uneducated is a higher form of education because you don't have to reprogram yourself from the things that you know. You know what I'm saying? In order to do something different than the box that you can think in. You can't tell me, you know, there are systems all across the world, right? And there have been systems all throughout the world, right? No, he can be here. Bro, cool. I ain't got no issue with him. I like having these conversations. You know what I'm saying? Don't attack nobody, right? I don't mind making money. I don't even mind some forms of capitalism and free market, you know, to where there's social capitalism where you make money and do good. I just think the problem is that when capitalism creates disease to create drugs, to also funnel healthcare systems, and then they can't be regulated, ruled, or checked, and then people are always put, you understand me, or profit is always put over people. Now you got a destructive system, right, that continues to generate capital based on destruction. That's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you believe in, it's just the system is just not up to a high moral standard. That's the only difference.
There was a famous guitar player, his name is Frank Zappa. In the 80s, he was actually like fighting against censorship and stuff. But one day he spoke on, I watched an interview, he said, the world is just a place that does business. These countries are just places that do business. You have to understand that. Countries do business on a corporate level. War is done on a corporate level. It sounds simple, but it's the medical industry, even what we were just talking about, the pandemic. All of these things help business. So, you know, people will always invest in war. It doesn't mean capitalism is bad.
Yeah, I mean, capitalism, I think, like, you don't hear me saying F capitalism. That's never been my message. You know what I'm saying? I think that capitalism, and we talked about this in our episode, like, it does two things. It creates good and bad. It's like, without capitalism, sometimes you don't get certain things because there's no incentive to create it.
Push technology forward.
So capitalism is really about the incentive mechanism, right, for production, right? But a lot of times it becomes greed, profiteering. Like, the pharmaceutical industry is a huge, and then not only that, lobbyism and the revolving door, right, pushes capitalism into politics that makes it inherently corrupt, right? So capitalism in its form and why it works in certain manners, it poisons other things inherently.
Because anything can be bought at that
Yeah.
point. Put a price on everything, but even if we didn't have like a numerical value for it, people would still be bought by other methods, right? Like,
We definitely have an oligarchy.
But before there was capitalism and people were given jobs of law enforcement and stuff like that, right? Regardless, whatever the case may be, you had entire, like you said, oligarchies, tyrants, lawlessness, because if there was no numerical value for people to be incentivized to enforce reality, what would we be governed by? Our moral compasses?
Mm-hmm.
We don't even like...
Yeah, I believe that, like you can, I think, like, my only issue is the way that, it's like, it's not the wrong way. You want to be a billionaire? Fine. But the question becomes what you gonna do with it. Like, billionaire being a status just to be a status, right? Or that you're gonna have allocated to your estate, right? We have a world where there's trillionaires. Like, these goddamn Saudi guys are trillionaires. You know what I'm saying? Because they own the land, the rights, and the mineral rights, and the air rights, and all of this because they was born into a family.
Yeah.
You feel me? So in this world, like, though, being a billionaire for me would be about the power to terraform, you know what I mean, my environment in the way that I want to see it. You feel me? But I feel like a lot of times, and like I said, I'm not a anti-billionaire person either. I just think that we got to think about what we're doing when systems become greatly unchecked, right? And the men who are constantly benefiting from those systems all look alike. And it just becomes a club. And it becomes an illusion of a democracy, illusion of capitalism, and an illusion of free market, because it becomes a fixed and a rigged system. And that's where cronyism comes into play, because it's always going to be special networks of people, you know what I'm saying, who are treated more fairly in society, while the rest are treated unfairly. So it's, you know, it's that, and we don't have enough intellectual discourse about the state of affairs, about the future of systems and institutions. We just kind of go in them and say, how can we make this work? But when you diagnose a problem, you look at what systems are not working that creates dysfunction. And you can't tell me America has so many dysfunctional systems. America's prison industrial complex is based on capitalism. 100%. It's slavery. You know what I'm saying? Slavery was capitalism. We were the capital. We were the stock. Right?
I don't think there's any form of society without capitalism, though, because energy is being exchanged and quantified by some metric. So even if all of these places are sharing, you still have to do an X amount of work to earn your share. Or even in tribalism, you'd be excommunicated. Like, I read a lot of books about indigenous history, and there's a lot of pride in how much you contribute to your tribe. You couldn't slack. So because we have outgrown or overpopulated tribalism, the way to kind of monitor, mediate a person's contribution or usefulness to society. Not that a person's not useful without these contributions, but
to places, because people are not greedy enough. You got to be really greedy to when you start getting into the tens and hundreds of billions. Yeah, just, I mean, at that point, you feel me? It's an insatiable hunger that cannot be really fed ever.
yeah.
And I'm not the moral police on that. I'm just saying, like, that's the reality. So capitalism is an ecosystem or economic system based on private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. So yeah, slavery is capitalism. Private ownership of the goddamn slaves, the means of production, and their operation for profit. That's slavery.
What were the first stocks traded?
Yeah, human beings. The first money, human beings. It's slave trade. You know what I'm saying? The insurance policies were taking out on human beings. They beat the goddamn slaves, then go collect money on their property. It's private ownership of human beings for a process and production of profit. You feel me? It says slavery is a mindset. You can be a white person with no slavery in their lineage and be a slave. I get what you're saying. I just have to read that in a different way.
It's just like where you coming from? Like, yes, there's mental slavery too.
But yeah, there's alternatives. But I think that, you know, we got to figure out a way. Number one, in America, you have to take advantage of the ability to, you know, practice capitalism, right? To free oneself. Right, and we don't talk about capitalism enough, right? And I think this is why people are not good at it, because we don't talk about it. Yet most people's issues are lack of capital. 99% of crimes are based on capital because we live in a commerce society. You feel me? And these are commerce laws that people are breaking.
Yeah, it's what's weird. So, like, if you tried to paint the perfect utopian, I challenge everybody to do this all the time. It's like, what would you do? Would you say everybody shares everything? So, I mean, that means the people who do nothing get the same as the people who do everything. Everybody would end up doing nothing instead of the people who are highly inspired to do something just because.
I think if we want perfection on earth, we have to look at nature, not man. You know what I'm saying?
Nature's capitalistic. Energy exchange.
Every time the sun rises, right, it sets, the moon, it's a cycle, it's a system. It is a perfect system, right? So, like, people say perfection exists. The universe is perfect.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nature is perfect without it being tampered with. You feel me? That's where you get perfect systems. And if man models the universe, if man models nature and systems of nature, then he can create a perfect system. But that's not what man does, because man overconsumes what he doesn't need, so he depletes resources for his own benefit. Right? And that depletion of resources decreases the access for someone to have so that they can live a quality of life. And if they don't have the same conquering mentality or will to do that thing that you would do in this system, then they could never live the quality of life that you live. And capitalism says that they do not deserve it. But it's also imbalanced because some people are born into it while others are not. So some have to work their way into a quality of life that others are inheriting.
Right.
So there's no balance in that whatsoever.
But the measure is always the will, right? You're being paid for the energy and the time, energy, and attention, as I always say, that you commit to something. So say there was no money and I wanted that high-hanging fruit in the tree. And I climbed for it, and the person, the guy next to me, who didn't want to do it for whatever reason, how do we qualify that?
No, that's your opportunity cost.
In nature, it's like, right, even in the nature, it's you eat what you kill.
But they do that. I mean, even in Jamaica, there's the bushmen. They go and grab the fruits, and then they're on the side, they put up the stands and they sell it. Yeah. The fruit is everywhere, but everybody not gonna go and goddamn be a bushman to do that. So the person that, does the work, then that creates the deserving. But it's layers to that, because they were also born with the necessity to do that work. Well, somebody else was born with money. You know what I'm saying? So, their thing is they don't have to use their energy to go buy or to go grab something to sell to somebody else. They use their money to buy what somebody else needs so that they can have a tenth of the quality of life they were born with. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you find the unfairness of reality. And in America, where black people issue is the fact that we live in a system that has been corrupted so that we are not at an equal playing field, right? So we can't fight for equality because we're given the same thing, we still have lack. So we fight for equity, right? So that we have the same share as everybody else.
Yeah, no, that's hard, man.
But anyway, man, this is hard. You know what I'm saying? That's how we be talking in the car, man. You know what I'm saying?
We actually might need a little, a little 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all, though, man. Go out and make you some money, man. You can't go to war without money, man. That's all we were saying.
Is that a bot or something? People just come in here like that?
Yeah, they just be coming with the Palestine tags. It might be bots. I don't know.
Somebody just jumps in and just starts saying.
You just say genocide, Palestine. That's all they gonna say. Man, that is what it is, man. The world that we live in, man. While you fighting for one problem, another problem pops up. It's like, a doctor got to be able to focus on one thing at a time. You can't do two surgeries at the same time. We focus on the heart right now. We focus on the brain.
I don't want the optometrist working on my heart right now.
Yeah. And then while you working on your heart and brain, somebody else come in and be like, yo, we got some issues out here. Like, bro, listen, y'all handle those issues while we handle this right here. We in the operation right now. I need steady hands. I need sound minds. I need clear thoughts. Please don't come and disrupt us right now. When I'm done with this, I will come and help assist. How you know I will? Because this is what I do for a living. Black people, we social warriors for a living. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said I'm going to regret what I say. And this is how this is when you become stupid. You know what I'm saying? This is when you got to go. Now this is when you become like an oppression warrior. And listen, I'm gonna care. I'll be standing up for all peoples, not all peoples. That's cap. I'm talking oppressed peoples. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm not one of them all lives matter brothers whatsoever. You know what I mean? We definitely be on God mode, but I definitely stand up for the oppressed peoples. I'm just not about to stress myself out at the same time. You feel me? You have to take the support that you get, and we continue to move. You feel me? But anything else, man, you can't force your fight on me. I'm already in the fight.
Why you spamming? You just come in here spamming.
Yeah. Make no goddamn sense, boy. You want some allies, you feel me?
Yeah, you gotta build.
You gotta grease you feel me? You gotta learn how to network a little bit, man. You can't come here. You guys gonna regret not saying nothing at 10:30 p.m. Bro, relax.
Right.
Relax. Take a seat, man. Take a seat. You know what I'm saying? We got hella issues on the table right now. We already had that on the agenda, though.
Right.
I like your passion, but sit your ass down in the back. This ain't your meeting right now.
Right.
You feel me? All right. Now, what's going on in Chicago? What's going on in the Congo? What's going on in Somalia, Uganda? You know, what's happening with Palestine, man? Let's free them people.
Yeah, free the people, number one. But like, I'm on Spanish.
Yeah, man, we've been suffering. Black people been suffering, and ain't nobody goddamn care. So I'm just saying, do not try to trigger black people with, you know what I mean, trauma responses. That don't work. You feel me? We've been suffering, and the thing about black people in America is, when we go through our bouts, people don't care on a daily basis. You feel me? Like, black people I think, are the best allies in the world. We be fighting for and with everybody. We always do. That's just how we are. You know what I'm saying? That's just how we are. We always fight. We stand up. We tell the stories. We teach the history. We educate the people. We march in the street. We give our money, our blood, sweat, and tears. We put it in our music, our songs. Right? We always fight that good fight. And when we see our people on the wrong side, we fight against them. That's how solid we are.
We've literally been put and used in every war. In, I don't know, I imagine history. What war haven't we been used in? I'm talking about since ancient Rome, bro.
Everyone.
Greece, Rome, Spain, England.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
Asia, India.
Just make sure that all the Afro-Asiatic people of all ethnicities and places on this planet Earth get they just due. Cause listen, while I'm free Palestine, I want to make sure that the Afro-Palestinians, same way, the Ethiopians, Jews, right? Get they just due and they love, because by every measurement and every people are always racist to the darker skinned people of their kind. And we got to stop that bullshit. You know what I mean? And unless you have to deal with that simultaneously at the same time. Now, Palestine, they got Gaza open air prison, man. What they doing over there, killing them babies, is crazy. So we gonna always be against that, because that's just evil. You know what I'm saying?
But just the whole setup of, like, at the end of the day, Israel just got there. They were just planted there.
Yeah, man, they just came in apartheid, genocide. That's all they came to do. But black people used to that. That's in America, supporting that is just showing that they still a support of colonialism. Right. That's it. They still ready to colonize some shit. And that's based on capitalism too, man. They want private ownership of them resources over there. You know what I mean?
What do you think is going to pop off in Taiwan? Because we've been talking about that for a year now.
Man, it look like we might be going to war, brother.
Because that's our neo-colony, for real.
Yeah, that's going to be a chip war, though. You feel me? That chip, that's the war for the future. That's why everybody's trying to create their own chips right now, right? Because you got NVIDIA, or what is it, NVIDIA? I think what's the chip that's made out of Taiwan?
Oh yeah, they say that nobody else can make.
Right, they run everybody trying, but they already got the supply rolling.
Yeah, they do. But somebody's gonna get it though. They can't hide that.
So China wants Taiwan. Everybody is trying to consolidate, right? So listen. Here's the thing.
China says Taiwan belongs to them.
Yeah, the same way Israelis say Palestine belongs to them.
That's different, though. That's way different.
No, I'm saying, but this is what we got going on. The same way Russia say Ukraine belongs to them. It's consolidation right now. Everybody going for their power move. It's the same thing across the board. You feel me?
Yeah.
The high level of it,
Everybody's
not
trying
into
to
the
block up.
complexities.
Nah,
Yeah,
100%.
they making their final moves because everybody doing their power moves right now.
You got everybody's like, all right, we're gonna need.
They like, well,
resources
shit, if
for
Russia go get
Venezuela.
Ukraine and become bigger, man, we about to go get China, Taiwan to become bigger. And America like, shit, well, we got to back Israel so we can stay and maintain our power. Y'all ain't about to increase your position while we get outsized.
Oh, like that new Silk Road.
Yeah.
That they want to build.
Yeah.
Right across the Gaza Strip.
And then you got the Saudis and the Eastern world and everybody just trying to figure out what side they go back when everything goddamn gets restructured for a new world.
Yeah.
Bro, it's not a hard thing to see. It's a very simple playbook.
Remember Donald Trump got Morocco to recognize Israel's sovereignty?
Yeah, it was a lot of crazy stuff going on during that time too.
That's like 5D chess.
Well,
they
because
were trying to open up that trade route.
Well, yeah, because
Israel,
Saudi
Gaza
Arabia,
Strip,
it
Morocco.
was about the younger prince that's taking over, and his ideas being different. So, you know, him not recognizing his father's ideology when it comes to Israel. And so when he take over, his ideas will be different. He'll just be like, man, I'm gonna do business with Israel. You know what I mean? Cut them out, bro. Y'all gotta deal with what y'all gotta deal with, but we get our power over here. Man, go think about ancient kings of old times and how they structure power deals. We think about power in such a moral sense that we can't fathom that people will make these deals and people will just be used as pawns.
Right.
In the power game, everybody is dispensable.
Everybody's a pawn. Yeah, it's chess.
You know what I'm saying? We talking about geopolitics here.
Chess.
You feel me? A person be like 1,000 people, man. We bomb Hiroshima. We don't care about people. You know what I'm saying? People have never been, you know, non-expendable. You always, like, you can go.
Yeah.
You know how it works? You feel me? Like,
the idea that they sell us so that we don't run outside killing each other every day, which is good. You know.
well, yeah, like you can't practice. It's illegal for the individual to practice it, but on the government level, they can do what they want. They can kill people, assassinate people. They can lie. They can bribe. They can do whatever they want to. They can murder. They have a completely different set of rules, justification, and logic. Right? Completely different.
Right. For the greater good.
That's the power. That's how power operates.
Bro, you forgot this yesterday.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, y'all can't even see this.
Nah, don't you just dragged it across the
I just hit with y'all with a little. This right here. I'm learning some stuff.
That's a neat. A Rashid,
I just bought like 30 books yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, man, you gotta understand the way geopolitics work, man. You know what I'm saying?
Geopolitics is like one of my favorite studies right now as well. Because there's always more to it.
It's
another country
yeah.
that has a role in some trade
Geopolitics is super complex.
And then learning about other people's kings and leaders. That
you know why? Because like most people don't know what the FBI, CIA, and NSA and none of these organizations are doing. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's no news around that.
Yeah.
But you know, we got all sort of different secret branches, invisible branches, and agencies of America.
Lord, pipelines just blowing up.
Yeah.
Who did that mission?
Right. We just make movies about it and be like, this is fiction. No, this is real life. How you think they collect data? How you think that we put in, you know, we topple governments and then put in these puppet leaders and things of that nature. We control regions, influence, infrastructure.
So, bro,
what it is.
We should start a whole like research study on that, like all of the infiltration that's been done to Africa. Like really do a deep dive onto it. Russia has been talking about it the last few years. They're like, yo, the CIA, which we know. The Black Americans know that, like. I don't know, like we know the Bible for real, but
we don't be knowing. Cause we was, you know, in the streets. Bless you. In the streets, cats were never concerned with global issues, right? So, but here's the thing: when they tell you to vote though, but then you're voting in people who have power over the concern of global issues, all right? So for me, I never understood that whole idea of like, you want to tell somebody to vote, but you're not educating them on the power that you're giving the people that they're voting for. Right. So it's like, no, if we're not having and it goes to a deeper conversation of like, we secede our power to those who are the masters of the world. They decide that this is their time to decide the affairs of the world for the next hundreds of years. So they zoom out. When you're talking hundreds of years, you got to zoom far out, right? You have to look at all of these different systems, how they interact with each other, depletion of resources, right? Access to information, new technology, the rollout of that, right? AI regulation, right? So they zoom all the way out because they say this planet is ours. This is how we're going to intervene over the affairs of man. We are the gods of this time. The thing is that we don't really think about it like that as melanated people. So anytime we hear them talking about intervening over global affairs, right, then we have an issue. But because we don't have a plan ourselves for the intervention of global affairs and what is the rule and order that must be in construct for this planet Earth, right, and for everybody to have a certain quality of life, right? A person can't tell you how much food and resources is needed so that this thing, right, this world that we live in operates. They can't tell you the relationships that's needed. We don't know. People don't know who they need to back as an ally.
Resources are coming from
right.
there, right.
We operate off emotions, right? But when I was growing up, we was always taught that there were scientists who have predictions about the world. There were scientists who would measure, okay, this is how many people in this populous area need to be alive for these resources. We was a mathematical people because we were taught that we were gods. So we would have to know the future of our planet Earth. And then we will have to set up systems and intervene and set up ideologies to rule those systems. But we so far from being gods of this planet Earth, we don't want to make any godly decisions, and we are against any godly decisions, right? Because we don't know it, we don't think that far, right? So it's like overpopulation is a good conversation to have on that. We're not going to have it on live right now because I want to really dive in when we do.
We started at the end of the joint.
Yeah, but it's a great starter, right? Like if I go look at, Afro-Asiatic texts, they always, like I said, they always talk about the scientists who intervene over the affairs of the planet because they were the gods of this planet. So they would study, what was necessary in the future, teach you about the past, what was going to be the knowledge of the people. They would be like, yo, this is how many people on the planet Earth in order for everybody to live peacefully and coincide with each other. If we operate within this system, this is what we see in the next 50 to 100 years. So therefore, we have to implement this. The individual does not have to understand the plans of the master because the master is trying to create a world to where an ecosystem can flow, right? And individuals benefit. So it's hard to try to take that thinking that's scaled at a planetary level and speak to people who are only localized in their own problems and issues.
Yeah, that's wild though. Because just think of and I firmly believe that because even when you just look at the calendar systems we had, like you were wearing the Mayan, the Cobb is one of the Hob, the Tzolk'in calendar, and the level of study and how many generations would have had to carry on and pass that study on would have had to be for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
Our calendar today isn't based on astronomy of today. We're using a calendar that's thousands of years old.
Right, and this is
they had to study and map and time things and planetary cycles that were very long. So of course they did so here and studied the animals. That's why even a lot of colonial history talks about when they ran into natives and how they hunted and how they knew the ecosystem so well that they didn't hunt certain things out of extinction. You can only kill X amount.
Right.
So I could see the same with people.
That's the question. Like
patterns and stuff.
Then that's why I keep getting people that I keep asking them, what does your future look like? What does the future look like? Yeah. Like intervene over your own affairs. Where do you want this planet to go to?
To do it on a scientific level.
You know what I'm saying?
Different though. Like they calculate
where do you want this planet to go to? Where do you want us to be in 100 years?
Yeah.
Right? Like, or do you want to just be a passenger? If you want to just be a passenger, fine. But if you're going to be a passenger, you have to understand that the driver is a conqueror. The driver thinks a certain way. The driver has a certain nature. They go drive a certain way. He might be crazy on the gas, doing a little too much, put it in turbo sports mode all the time. You know what I'm saying? He might be an off-road ATV person, might get into some crashes. Like, if you don't want to be the driver, you know what I'm saying, or have a destination for where the drive takes you, then you at the mercy. But instead, you'd be like, no, bro, we're not going left, we're going right. You know what I'm saying? Nope, we're going this way. We going to the road less travel. We going up. We going it. We got it. You have to think about if you are the master of your world, and I'm talking about Earth. Let's use the word Earth more. We have to use more Earth. We don't use the word Earth like almost ever.
Make it
right.
Touch it.
Like this is your Earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, and how many people care about the affairs of the Earth on a high level? Not many, right? But so when you start talking about so-called climate change, right? You start talking about geopolitics, right? You start talking about, global economic systems, right? You start talking about all these different things. You're dealing with the Earth affairs, right? So if I put you in position over the Earth, you're now the CEO of Earth, and I put these high-level things to you, right? And it's like, all right, what decision are you going to make? Now, you're going to make one decision that may be detrimental to a people, right? But then you might have to make this decision that saves 100 million people while crushing 200,000.
Yeah.
Can you make that decision?
Right.
Should that decision be made? Right? Or do you allow the natural flow of events to occur? Those 200 million people get sacrificed for these 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Who gets to make that decision? Right. See, these are not things that most people don't want those. And this is why it will have to be a scientific based decision to do calculations so that it's mathematical and not emotional. Right. And so this is the idea that the black gods were mathematical. Right. They would have to make these decisions not from a standpoint of emotional calculation. Right. It would have to be mathematical. What is the best thing for man? And they would have to think 25,000 years out into the future. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not something that most people can fathom. Right. So these are not conversations that's had with the average person. They bore you with local issues because you do not want to deal with Earth affairs.
Right. There are calendars that do exist with, again, cycles that are longer than our human recorded history. I mean, like, the sun cycle. Why are there calendars, ancient calendars, that calculate the solar cycle, the 25,000-year solar cycle?
Mm-hmm.
How much did they study to know that?
See, the 25,000 years was based on, all right, so... It's
24 and some shit.
Yeah, no, there are, number one, there are cosmic cycles that man utilize. So, synodic cycles, monadic cycles utilize the sun and the moon, but also planetary cycles that come around after a certain convergence, right? Based on planetary alignment, right? So, therefore, man would have these cycles that he would operate in because he understood that as the universe turned, man's thinking in the hemisphere of his thoughts would turn as well. So we was taught that knowledge expires every 25,000 years and a new superior knowledge reigns over the planet Earth, right? So a certain thinking is superior, but then it expires. All knowledge has an expiration to a superior knowledge, and we see that in science all day long.
That's one thing I like about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Every time I hear about stuff, it's always in alignment with things that I studied separately.
But see, this is
sciences that I studied independently.
This is why I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because when I started doing independent studies on completely different subjects, it'll always reinforce his. It was never contradictory, and I would look for it. I wasn't trying to compliment. I was like, maybe I'm so indoctrinated in this. I would like so studying everything, and it'd be like, bro. It allowed me to see deeper into it because you can only see a surface level. Most people don't get past Message of Black Man. They don't make it to Theology of Time. You know what I'm saying? So Theology of Time is a completely different, that was what he did in his later years in the 70s. It was a series of lectures, right? That was deep. He started talking about Mars. He started talking about the planets. He talked about universal affairs, right? See, you got to think about, you talk about this cast that you talk about street affairs. You know what I'm saying? State affairs, right? Country affairs, right? You get to planetary affairs. Then you get to universal affairs. Then you go into dimensional affairs. You know what I'm saying? You start to multiverse and you start to just draw all the way out. What type of God are you? You a local God, a state God, a federal God? You know what I'm saying? Tribal God? It depends. We all different.
All the alien talk is in line with his, his teachings as well.
Yeah, completely.
What we found with Mars and the pictures,
Man,
the ships.
his economic blueprint and program was on point for a man who didn't have no economic degree.
Yeah, it's
Come on, man. Y'all be playing with the gods like we don't be knowing, like, all right, whatever. You feel me?
God given, though. We are given that. Like, I attribute it to like a level of clairvoyance, where if you can just free yourself for a little bit, really tap in, and that's where the knowledge of self comes in. You know yourself enough that you can tune or attenuate yourself, right?
Man, they getting a whole high level. I ain't gonna lie, man.
So
Y'all getting a whole high level. I ain't even spit this on high level yet, but I be saving some of these. You feel me?
But you become able to communicate these frequencies or ideas that spark change, or your mind just operates on that frequency. And you become a filter of those experiences.
Somebody said colored people always complain. Ain't nobody complaining. What are you talking about?
Just one time.
You the only one in here complaining.
He said colored people.
Oh, yeah, that's a nigga, man.
He said
that's a colored people, man. What are you talking about? That's the stupidest shit on the planet Earth. My grandma used to say that shit, colored people.
Yeah,
Man,
but
she
your
was old
grandma
school.
read she had to see it every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she was just old
signs.
school,
That's
too,
what I mean.
dog.
Like,
Yeah.
it was all on every sign, colored water fountain and all that. You know? Same thing.
Yeah, but it's we don't do no complaining. Life is good. First of all, we gods. Like we just exercising our godhood. It's like if y'all was reading this conversation in the book, you would be mind blown. Sometimes you have to imagine a person conversation as if you're reading the book, right? And this is why I said that yesterday, because a lot of times we don't appreciate things that's live, right? We don't appreciate things in the moment,
people,
right?
Like, and not everybody
Fast consumption.
has the level to even understand. Like, the people who couldn't have the conversation with you may not be able to grab that as fast. So like you're saying, but to be able to see it and comprehend it in other steps would be very conducive to the way they understand it. Because, we go.
It's all good, man. Listen, man, I see y'all in Toronto, Boston, New York. Go to 19keys.com/events. Hit me in the DM. You feel me? And listen, we got a lot of things I'm going to be announcing, rolling out in the next couple of weeks. So just stay tuned. Make sure that you're in the broadcast channel. You know what I mean? Make sure you stay locked in. Go to Crown Society. You know what I mean? Get your crowns. We got some new ones that's going to be dropping. Got the glasses that's dropping. It's a whole lot of level intervention into the affairs of the universe, man. Come tap in with the guys. Yeah. Peace.